All right, I'm gonna call the, cable and broadband access, committee meetings on order. And, got minutes in front of you. Give you a minute to look at the minutes. Huh? It's been a while.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
He's probably already approving this council.
Got a motion second, any discussion? All in favor? All right, do we have any citizen comments? To address the commission? No citizen comments. Only item on the agenda is.
Status quo budget.
I have a couple questions. Why do we have these line numbers, two lines in the part time?
That one of them has nothing in it, so it just needs to be deleted, but at one point in time, there was a reason why we had it split. I can't tell you why. We may have had two different people that we were trying to keep track of or whatever. At one point in time, if this number followed on out, they would not be exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
number. This one might have a 0.1 or something.
I got you. And the next one, longevity, it's like,
Yeah, longevity's there right now. You don't have anybody eligible for longevity. Yeah.
who's a ownership?
Right, nothing there.
And they used to have a vehicle.
They did.
Don't have a vehicle.
Well, we have that old van.
Yeah.
But we don't have a vehicle that we use.
And there's nothing on the home. Gas or anything, or is that inclusive?
Let's see. Gasoline has nothing in it.
See, you buy your own gas?
Yeah, we don't really drive that, honestly. We use it so rarely. We use it because it's larger and if we have a bigger chute, but since we just got the new equipment that you approved, that will fit in an SUV.
Okay.
So I take my personal vehicle when I go on shoots and I just pay for my gas.
Yeah, it is, please, sir.
No.
I don't have that one.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like we ought to have some line number.
Well, and that was a consideration about eventually getting a vehicle so that I'm not driving my personal vehicle, but I would rather drive the personal vehicle than the van because the van is old.
Oh.
It was used when it was
So, when you got it.
It was old when I got it. It's huge.
When you use it, pull down.
I haven't actually used it since I've been here.
Parking lot there.
Yeah.
Parking lot.
We needed it.
Well, that's what I think that we need to sell it, or to sell, or you want to get into that, or do you want to keep it? I'm just asking the question, because I don't know.
I would like to keep it in case we do have a bigger shoot and need to put a lot of equipment in it.
But it does run.
It does run. I don't know that it will run for very long. But yeah, that was if we were gonna have a needs budget, the only thing I would have mentioned would have been a vehicle, but it's,
A few years ago, when I used to say it's so I got with this, I had a whole change color in a few years.
it hasn't been,
Well, that's
it
what I'm
hasn't been
thinking.
driven.
Where's the maintain?
It's just sitting in the parking.
Listen,
So if we got rid of it.
we do for them. Yes, that don't cost. They buy the parts, we service them. That's the one before we get them.
So maybe
Yeah.
it needs to be like oil change and so check.
If you want to keep it.
I really don't want to keep it, but I'm hesitant because we don't have another vehicle and my equipment will not fit in the back of my vehicle. So at this point, if I needed a vehicle, I would ask IT if I could borrow their issue if I had a large sheet. And that's what I would do at this point. I'm not attached to the vehicle. I really am not going to use it. I don't really feel comfortable driving it. It's so old. I don't know how far it's gonna be. It's not gonna make it.
No, I'm thinking we ought to dispose of it or
Okay.
share it or something. What do you think, Chairman?
Well, I mean,
If there's nothing on the line, what do you think about it?
around town, people make transfer a little bit from this courthouse, go across the street, or else get one that longer,
No, he does take it out and he'll drive it a few miles. in the Arctic Village over. Every now and then people will do that. So it does run. He did take it out about a month ago and drove it around.
I think to answer your question, this is statutory.
Yeah, I understand the status quo, but I'm thinking is we have lines in there with nothing on it at all. Like gas, she's using all gas, and it's not, status quo. I'll make a motion on this.
So, any discussion on budget or secretary? All in favor? Aye. Passes. All right, what else do we got? Any old business? Yeah.
Broach that subject.
Yeah.
We can't act on it, but
Yeah.
for future meetings.
It occurred to me that, you know, over the last 8 years, hey, we're starting to get a lot of videos, especially now that we're video and every committee meeting. These things are large files. They add up. And we're doing about a dozen a month now. Sometimes more. And so I think probably need to address some sort of archiving policy that can be in two places. One of them not necessarily YouTube, because we don't know if they're gonna buy YouTube. We don't know. I don't know if once you put anything on YouTube, you can't on it. They change their policies. So we really probably need to address this policy to archive our videos. And I talked to Mike about this because, you know, we do have an archive of Parker, but it's not gonna be I don't think anybody's ever gonna go down there and access those videos. You know, it's gonna have to be forced by you. So it's probably gonna have to be a policy that comes from IT. Basically, and because everything's gotta be indexed, you gotta be able to find these things. Probably ought to figure out a way to tie them to the scanning project that's going on too, at the same time. You know, we're scanning everything back to 1960. We've got all the way back to 1965 scanned. Hopefully someday we'll be able to look things up by word search, find the agenda, then know what video, where you can really, in a matter of maybe minutes, come up with it. But we don't have a policy.
Is there a requirement to keep the videos?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question,
Because I'm gonna spend a lot of money doing it, because we have the minutes. Bring the minutes up. And this is the whole program. Yeah, not that we don't want to keep the videos, in the court system, they keep that stuff forever. And then,
they do unless you get a court order to destroy it.
right, so I don't want to get to the point that we're keeping them. And we're gonna spend more money for the data storage, if it's not necessary. If we want to do it just for historic purposes, that's about it.
You got comments?
Yeah, I would say spin hard drive discs are extremely cheap compared to what they used to be. So just take those and store them on a hard drive. We're talking $10 to $14 per 100 gigs. So over there, we're looking that will give us 2 to 3 years on one hard drive. So besides just having a location to put it, it's not a big cost expenditure. To have the actual physical this.
And you take the hard drive and you store it
That we can take it and store it
in a vault or something?
That's a,
No, really. You know, really, because I've been involved in this in the Pentagon. They store it in vaults. And if you need to access some data, you have to have the date, the time, and everything, and they can get the data, they bring it down to it. Is it reasonable to archive it in such a way that you find the stuff? And each hard drive that have the archive on it would be the, so you could access a hard drive and find out a meeting based on what you put in. Right?
to me, the best way to do it would be to go by year. Just put it, I think,
Yeah, by year, right?
and then just set it and just find a location offsite. Whether it be, like I said, at the archives building or, just here, if I face it.
Well, I think what we've got, of course, is not an agenda, item, so we don't need to go too far. I think you mentioned to me having, a big director and our IT people next time give us a proposed policy of how to handle it, we put it on the agenda.
Yeah, and just for a quick discussion, one of the problems that we have here is if you don't know a year, a day, you can't find it now. And even with the scanned documents, if you don't have a date, you can't really word search anything. And so we've got to figure out how to index this to where we can word search something and find it when something happened, because we just keep on piling stuff up. It's still just as lost, even though we're recording it, doing a better job of recording it. If we can't find it, what do we really know? And so that's the whole idea. And I don't know if we're gonna solve it today, but I wish you.
There are certain ways you can archive it, that this will have, like you can say, budget meeting. If you can do the budget meetings. Yeah, or whatever meeting you want, and you can characterize this stuff. And you could do a file, and you could do all kinds of data, these designs. Well, they could design the database on the disk, right?
Yes, sir.
So anything you say like budget meeting was in that area.
Yes, sir.
You could do that.
Yeah, and the way we're saving it now, we have it saved budget committee and then the date, like 5/29,
Right.
2025, and that's how they're all saved. If you don't know the date that it happened, if you just want to look up the topic, there's no way to move.
Right.
It's saved completely by the date.
Yeah.
We've recently purchased scanned
Right.
packets all the way back to 65, and they've been OCR where you can word search them.
Right.
But they're whole packets.
Yeah.
So if you, and then there are more than one packet in a file sometimes, and so you got books of them. So if you word search it, you could pull up monstrous amounts
Exactly.
of data and still have to go through it. So the thought was maybe something can be separated into resolutions and minutes, even, a subset of that. And then, maybe word search those databases.
I agree with Mike that we should, at IT, that we get together and design something.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is more easily
Bob's
accessible.
idea was fine.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so you guys come up with a proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
And try to make it so that it's accessible.
Okay.
And every year, just every year. I used to do database design and I'll tell you, it's the most difficult when you access stuff. You really have to organize the situation.
Yeah, and even, the mark system, like when I worked at Channel 4, they have all the videos pretty much that they've ever recorded, but someone had to put that in a database. And what we would do is search for, okay, this murder happened,
Right.
and they would see what date it happened, and then they would go find the tape for that year in a basement, and you would really go into a basement, and it was very time consuming.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I tell you where this could have come into play last night, for me and Jason Morris anyway, going back, 30-something years. We had a bid project on improving the, Wilson Central High School soccer team, make it legal. And the low bidder, before we got to that point, disqualified himself. I forgot to put something in there, I can't build it for this, which was good. But he also put up a 5% bid for it, which we had the right to call. And Jason said last night, said, I don't ever remember calling one, at least while I've been an architect, said, when Bill was. And I got to thinking, I don't remember that either, but we had had that many building projects, it'd been neat to go back and see what we needed. But it's not good business. You were at the electrical building last night. You want people to bid, and if you start pulling that bid line, they get scared, they won't bid. But I thought last night, I don't remember one either, but I can't remember sometimes where I parked the car. Think back 30 years, but that'd be a good thing to look at again, in spare time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, in coming years, this is important, but not urgent. You know, we just need to figure this out if we can get it.
But it's gonna be more and more because we're getting away from paper and getting to the.
Well, any more comments? One more motion?
Very. All right.